You're listening to Simwaton from bizsupportonline.net. In this InfoPath video, you'll learn how you can load the base64 encoded string of an image that is stored in a SQL Server database table into a picture control on an InfoPath form without having the need to write code. Here I'm in InfoPath Designer 2010, where I've already pre-created an InfoPath form template that has a picture control on it, a text box control that has the data type whole number integer assigned to it, and a button control. The intention is that I want to type an ID for a record that is stored in a SQL Server database table into this text box control. Click this button and then have an image loaded into this picture control. I've also already added a data connection to the SQL Server database table. As you can see here, it retrieves data from the database. And this is a direct connection to the database using Windows authentication. I've also already added a rule to this button control, and what this rule does is first it retrieves all of the data from the pictures database table, and then it sets the value of field 1, which is bound to the picture control, to be equal to the value of the picture field in the secondary data source to the database table, thereby filtering the pictures on ID being equal to whatever I entered into this field 2 text box. As a side note, I currently only have one record in the database. As you can see here, I've got a record with ID 2 and a base64 encoded string for an image. This is an example of a base64 encoded string. As you can see, it is very bulky, and that is also the reason why I've got only one image currently stored in the database table. If I switch back to InfoPath, you'll see that the secondary data source for the database does not contain any query fields, which means that I cannot pass an ID to the secondary data source so that it filters the data on the server and then returns a filtered data set to me. So basically I've got to retrieve all of the data, which includes all of the base64 encoded strings, and because they are so bulky, it means that I can exceed the data that I'm allowed to download into the InfoPath form, which is why I currently only have one record stored in the database table. If you want to have more than one record stored in the database table, it is advisable to create a web service to which you can pass an ID to retrieve a specific image from the database instead of retrieving all of the data from the database. I've also already published this InfoPath form template to a SharePoint form library. As you can see here, I'm in SharePoint 2010 and I'm logged in as a user Jane Doe. Jane Doe currently has permissions to read data from that pictures database table. So if I click add document to add a new form and enter a 1, you may remember that there is no image with an ID equal to 1 in the database. So I'll click load picture. Once I've done that, you'll see that no image will be loaded into the picture control because there is no ID 1. So I'll enter ID 2, and there was an image for ID 2, and click load picture. And then you'll see that the image from the database will be displayed here in the picture control. And to show you that I'm not currently performing any tricks, I'll switch to the database and then update the record by setting the picture to be a different picture, and then I'll switch to SharePoint and then click load picture, and then you'll see that a different image will appear in the picture control, and I can default back to the previous image by updating the record again and then switching to SharePoint and clicking load picture.